Hello, happy
Hello.
podcast number 24.
Hello. We're almost at a quarter century.
I know, I was listening to these guys that I really like. They
Uh-huh.
on their tech company that does their podcast, and they said that the average podcast in 2024 went 9 episodes.
Really?
Yep, most people give up,
Huh.
but
We're
not
at
us.
24.
I know, right?
No, we're not giving up. I'm having my coffee. I'm having a slow Monday morning.
Nice. All right. You ready to start?
Yes.
Okay. I want to get your gut thought on something first.
Uh-oh.
I think I'm gonna start a newsletter.
Oh, okay.
What are your thoughts?
Well,
Sorry,
off
the
the
dog's at my feet and was making himself at home and almost knocked me over.
off the tippy top of my tongue, I would say I think that's fantastic that you're starting a newsletter. I have contemplated it and I haven't pulled the trigger. Um, I think it's better to have one than not have one. So you're doing better than me right now.
Well, I don't know. I
That's
only have the
that's
idea.
that's that's my thought. I think yes, I think it's important. And you'll probably get people unsubscribing. Who cares? You'll probably get business from it, which is what you want. It's a touch point. It's just people saying, "Hey, Dave thought of me." I don't know. There's really no downside to it. What's your format going to be?
Don't know yet. I'm thinking of doing two. I'm thinking of doing one for agents and then one for and agents within the brokerage and then one for maybe clients.
Oh, you're thinking of splitting them up.
Yeah, because there's some things that I want to discuss with agents that most people don't care and vice versa.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are you gonna do it with a reading one or are you gonna do it with a video one?
I haven't got that far. See, I'm not
Okay.
that far ahead of you.
Okay.
All right, you ready for the fun part of the day?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I gotta use my phone. I gotta turn on my volume because I want this effect.
Are you
Uh,
gonna dance?
no. And so I apologize if something else comes through while I'm doing it. Okay, we're gonna do the Wheel of Death.
The Wheel of Death
Yeah, instead of
instead of rapid fire?
thank you.
The Wheel of Death. All right.
Yep. So
Am I on the Wheel of Death?
no. So here's what I did. I Googled the top questions in 2025 that people are asking Google
Okay.
regarding real estate.
Ooh, what'd you find?
I want to see, well, I have them on my little thing here.
So
You
you're gonna
ready?
spin the wheel. You're gonna spin the wheel?
Yeah, and you have to,
My gosh, it's like the wheel. I love the
I
wheel.
think there's a sound effect. You ready?
Yep.
No, there's not. Sorry. That was
Oh,
anticlimactic. All right. First question. What are the current mortgage rates?
that's what the people ask. You want my answer?
Well, yeah, otherwise it's
Okay. Well, I tell them that they are roughly at 6.2 if it was today. And
it's
I
not
say,
6.2.
well, it depends. See, it can be at 6.2.
Well,
I tell
yeah, but
them,
I could
y-
also be a bike if I had wheels. What does that mean?
yeah, what is it today?
Last I saw was 6.87, which is based on the 10-year. Um, the average mortgage right now is 6.87. It's the
Okay.
lowest, second lowest it's been this year, I believe.
Okay, so this is what I tell people. If they ask me what the mortgage rate is, I tell them that it depends because it depends on a lot of factors. You have three people applying for a mortgage with the same person in one day, they're going to get quoted three different rates because it depends on lots of different things.
I
So I
know.
tell them that the best way for them to know exactly what their mortgage rate is to contact a mortgage lender. Do you have one, or would you like me to refer you to my top three? And then I send them to the professional. That is not my wheelhouse. I don't pretend that it is. That's what I do.
I don't like that answer.
Why?
Because if you and I don't know you, but I know you, so let's say we run into each other in the lobby of the St. Paul, where are you at?
I'm at the St. Paul University Club on
I
Summit
don't know
Avenue.
why I can't remember that name. But
I don't know
if
either.
I run into you and I know you're in real estate and it's like, hey,
Hmm.
good morning, blah, we're making small talk.
Hmm.
And I say, what are the interest rates? For you to say that, it depends, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the general person, first of all, I don't believe the general person even understands the interest rates. I think
Okay.
they're just looking for a conversation. So
Right.
so if I was asked that question,
I mean, so if they ask me more, I'll say, if they say, what do you mean by depends?
I'm going by what the Google machine said.
Okay, I could say, well, it depends on your credit score. I don't know what your
No,
credit score is.
I would say, see, this is where you and I differ. If I had the same conversation and if I was invited within the gates and hallows of the St. Paul University Club, I would say, as of this morning, they were 6.87, which is one of the lowest of the year.
Okay.
That's all they're looking for, I believe.
All right.
I don't go much farther than that because I'm definitely not a lender, don't want to be a lender,
Yeah.
but I think they're looking for a conversation.
Yeah. And I think I can give them a conversation because when I say depends and they say depends on what, I can say credit score. Well, I've got a great credit score. I'm super. Depends on if you want a 30-year mortgage or a 15-year mortgage. I just helped a young couple buy a property and they chose to do a 15-year mortgage. And I think they locked in around 6.2 because it's lower than a 30-year mortgage. So
Well, I
that's
know,
probably.
but that's not that's I get the point. I'm up 1-0. Are you ready?
Oh my
Second
God.
question. What? I'm up 1-0
You just gave yourself the win.
for that one.
Okay.
All right. Second question. What
You
should I
kill me.
know? Huh?
Would you kill me? I
I'm
love
like
you, Dave
dominating.
Loja.
If I
I
was
just
playing
love
with
you.
my kids, I'd be like doing the LeBron push
Oh
down.
my gosh. I
All
love
right.
you, Dave Loja.
What should I know before buying a house? I'll go first. Okay.
Yep.
I would say, I think in today's market, it's really important to know who you are. I would want you to really have a good understanding. Are you handy or do you have resources, friends, family, colleagues that can help you do some work at low to little income?
Mhm.
Number two is, have you talked to a lender yet to make sure that all the costs and everything make sense? I'm assuming, by the way, I'm assuming these people have never bought a house before.
Okay.
So I want to make sure they understand all of that. I would also want for them to understand that right now, chances are, if they're first-time home buyers, they're going to be younger than me. Their generation, this is not going to be a forever house. So I'd want to know what the goal of the house is.
Okay.
You?
I I believe they want to know how much it's going to cost, which encompasses the mortgage, taxes. It's going to encompass if there's an HOA. I think they're going to always ask me where they should look. And I'm like, you need to look where you want to live because location is something you can never change. You can always change the house. You can't change the locale. But it's 99.9% of the time, people that ask me about what they need to know about a house, it's usually always around finances.
I think I win that point too. You're too generic. You're not making it about them. All right, next one. I'm up 2-0.
I think you're harsh.
People on social media are posting that they agree I'm up 2-0. All right, same question but worded different. What should I know before selling a house? Your turn.
I think one of the most important things to know about selling a house is there anything wrong with it before you put it on the market? It might be a good idea to get an inspection to look for something major. I think that's a very, very, very good idea because it's going to pop up no matter what. And then, why do you want to sell? I like to get into people's heads. Why you want to sell? What's your
Okay.
motive? What's your goal? Since I'm losing by not putting it on them, so now I'm putting it on them. Why do you want to sell? What's your goal? How can I help you best achieve that goal? Talk to me.
I will give you the win on this one
Okay.
because you had two answers and I only had one, which is the same which was same as one of yours, which is why do you want to sell? What's your goal?
Okay.
So 2-1. What?
You're funny. I love this. This is the greatest.
I'm
Right.
killing you.
You are. I'm taking the dunk to the rim. I'm taking the dunk to the rim, and that thing is going to reverberate just about in a second. Ask.
Oh, you're going to get traveling here in a second.
Puck is going top
How do I improve my credit score?
glove side.
I think it's my turn. How do I improve credit score? This is one where I would defer them to a good lender,
Hmm.
probably not a bank lender,
Hmm.
where I would want them to fully have a conversation with their lender who understands how things work and have the conversation sooner than later because
Yes.
you're not going to be able to get a FICO score overnight and it's going to make a huge impact on a purchase that you want to make in 4 or 5 minutes. I would have them talk to the lender, and
Mhm.
the lender can oftentimes advise them on what to pay, when to pay it, how to pay, maybe juggle. Getting rid of this one might help this. And I would say, like for example, I cannot remember right now if student loans count. It seems to be that that is kind of, it counts, it doesn't count, it does count, certain things count. If they're more than so many years, they don't count. If they do count in any capacity, that's probably going to really affect your credit score.
Mhm.
But that's probably something that you can't just randomly pay off. You probably don't have that money in a drawer. But
Right.
maybe you have open credit cards that you're not using. And by shutting those down, that helps
Mhm.
dramatically. So it could be as simple as that.
Yeah.
So my answer would be they have to talk to a really good lender. And by the way, you should talk to my friends, one, two, three, and go from there.
Yeah.
You're up.
I
I
like it.
think I think this is a victory for me. I'm already going to put it up 3.
Oh, good Lord. Well, I think exactly right. You need to direct them to a really good lender who is good at credit repair. And who knows, they might not have bad credit. And I always say, all debt counts because you have to pay that debt, whether it counts or not for your approval. So you don't want to overextend yourself on something when you already have debt. Student loans might be big, but they also might have huge income. It could be medical school debt, and they're an anesthesiologist, at a major medical center, so they're not having a huge problem with it. But I always think the first step is to get them with the lender, um, put the approval process through, and see what comes up, and you take it from there.
Yeah, I think I win that one because you said credit repair. Their credit may not be repaired. Side note, so it's 3-1.
You're
Um,
just in a cranky mood today. You just want to beat me.
no, because there's plenty more. Do you have, what if somebody rolled in?
Hmm.
Let me rephrase. What happens if somebody calls up and says, Mike, my credit score is 0?
Okay.
Thoughts?
So what? You want to pay cash? You can pay
Nope.
cash.
Nope. I need a loan.
Well, we have to talk to a lender again. All happy lives with real estate lead back to lenders because what I have learned from lenders is they might think they have zero credit because they don't have a credit card. But if they've been paying rent every month in an apartment, or if they have been paying a gas bill every month or a cell phone bill every month,
Rent
they,
doesn't count towards FICA.
okay, talk to a lender.
Do you ever consider, do you ever have a situation where you have people with 0?
I did. And guess what that person did? Paid cash.
So I do probably one or two deals a year where my client has a credit score of 0.
Hmm.
I work a lot with the Dave Ramsey group, and I get some people that have really, really great um, financial
Hmm.
capability.
Hmm.
So your FICO score is 100%
It's a
related.
game.
It's related to how much money you've taken out and how often you pay it back. So a credit
Right.
score of 700 means you probably pay, you know, seven, eight, $10,000 a month on credit. Having a credit score that's lower means you probably don't. Granted, yes, debt to income, everything factors in. But I refer them to a lender that does manual underwriting.
Okay.
Manual underwriting will get a low credit score through as long as your I mean, really your debt to income ratio should be really strong and you should go from there. So I have one
Okay.
that I'm working on now, by the way. So
I'll let you win that one.
yeah, I'm throttling. Is it 7-1?
I don't know. I don't even, I'm not keeping track anymore because you're just, slamming me into the ground and you're enjoying it.
Okay. Ooh, this one. What is a seller's market versus a buyer's market?
Oh, a buyer's market is when there is a lot of options out there and the sellers are in a beauty pageant and they have to also be the least expensive, meaning there's a lot of houses to choose from for the buyers. A seller's market is when there's just so many buyers out there looking and there's very, very, very few homes. It's just the inverse.
Yeah, I would just say seller's market favors the seller, buyer's market favors the buyer.
Hmm.
I think we're more closer to balance now than we have been since COVID.
I would agree with you. Yes, I am not sensing in any way that it is seller's market where well, again, it's very micro marketed because when you're up here in the Mac Grove, Miriam Park neighborhoods, it is a bloodbath still to this day. But again, it's micro market. But I think Woodbury is definitely balanced. If not even maybe even a buyer's market now, who knows? But it's definitely different than up here on the hill.
I might be getting a listing in your hood.
Nice.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
Three left. You nervous?
No.
I mean, technically you can't win because it's 15-1 with only three questions left. Hey, what are closing
Well,
costs? What?
unless we're playing tennis.
That's true. But then it would be 15 love. What are
True,
closing costs?
but I could still kick your ass if we were
What
playing tennis.
I haven't played tennis in years. I used to play all the time. I would like to try to play tennis with you. I have a bad thumb, so I don't know how I could do, but I would like to try it again.
All right, well,
All right. What are closing costs and how much should I expect to pay? I'll go first. My turn. Closing costs are the biggest misnamed line item in real estate.
I agree with you.
It should be lender fees.
Buyer's costs.
Yep. And should I go by and I say the following. Closing costs, i.e., lender fees, is the price a buyer traditionally has to pay in order to have the loan. This is on top of everything else.
Hmm.
It's based typically on the sale price, but there's many factors. If I bought a house for 100,000, you bought a house for 100,000, and we both use conventional loans, your closing fees are going to be different than mine.
Hmm.
But as an industry average, it's about 3%.
Yes.
However, I have seen them go down at 2.5, 2.6, and I've seen them be at 3.6, 3.7.
Hmm.
But I stress that it is only because the buyer has a loan, and I typically stress that a closing or a cash buyer does not have those. There are still fees for title. There's still
Right.
fees for title insurance and wire
Mhm.
and mortgage payoffs and blah, 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 and property taxes. But they make it sound as though, so roughly on $100,000 house, a borrower is going to need to pay an additional $3,000 at closing
Mhm.
to have a loan that a cash buyer would not have.
Yep. I'm referring to them as buyer's costs now, moving forward. I don't use the term closing costs. And yeah, you're right. It's about 3% max. And I always call the buyer's lender for that specific property, for their specific down payment and their specific interest rate, because I want to know exactly, almost to the penny, what their closing costs are going to be. And if we do ask for them, I don't use a percentage, I use a number.
Interesting. So
And
so
the
what
other,
happens? Can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
What happens? So let's just use simple math. You're buying a $500,000 house. If you put 3%, you're going to get them roughly 15,000. Maybe
Mhm.
their closing fees are 14.2.
Mhm.
What if you get in multiple offers and your $500,000 offer, your buyer wins and it comes in at 521? Do you adjust your closing costs or do you keep that at 14.1 where by doing a percentage you get the same thing?
I only adjust anything on a PA if I'm countered and asked to adjust it. But the bottom line is that's the answer to everything. It depends, it depends, it depends. It's never the same. It's always different.
Okay.
And but I have learned to say that the closing costs are the buyer's. This is your fee for getting your loan. They pull out an entire month's of escrow to put it in an escrow account, yada yada yada. So I mean, um, closing costs, I haven't been asked to ask for closing costs much lately. The last time I was, the seller agreed to, but then the seller refused to offer a buyer broker compensation. And when I explained that to the buyer and we were under buyer representation contracts, he was like, oh, because he would have had to pay me that.
Gotcha.
And he was like, well, I don't need the closing costs, so we'll just reduce that. And we went back and seller accepted the offer. Seller agreed to pay the buyer representation compensation, and onward we went. Open discussion, dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. Is that a tie?
No, it's two left on the wheel of death.
Oh,
Okay, updated score here, checking 23-1.
you woke up on the wrong side of your cot today.
Okay, second to last question. How do I choose
Mm.
the right real estate agent?
Talk to more than one. Isn't that funny? What's the percentage of people that choose the first agent they speak to?
73% I heard.
Yeah, 73% at minimum. So it's like talk to more than one. Don't feel obligated to use a friend. Don't feel obligated to use a relative. Don't feel obligated to use anybody. Talk to several realtors. Choose the one that best fits you and what you're looking to do.
All right.
And I say that
I'm
as
not
a
even
and I say that as a realtor.
as your answer is spot on. I'm gonna give you the point.
Yo,
I'm not even gonna try to beat that. Okay, it's 27-2. Good job. Okay, one left. How do you feel about losing to Dave Lilja?
it's the worst day of my life.
Okay, I'll give you the point.
I don't
Twenty-seven
know.
to three. Good job.
I think I might just have to shut her down and go have a Bloody Mary now.
All right, 27-3.
I'm so depressed.
All right.
How could I lose to you?
I know, 27-3. That's
I didn't even lose. I got murdered.
you got crushed.
I got
But you know what? There's
slaughtered.
always next. Okay, we're ready for one rapid fire.
Yes.
Where'd you meet your wife? Go.
St. Paul Winter Carnival. We were both in the royal family. She was the West Wind Princess, and I was the Sergeant of the King's Royal Guard, 1992. Booyah! Try to be
I
Pat.
swear to God, that was exactly like you were speaking in Latin. Hold on. I'm gonna without it was 1990. I'm gonna rephrase. It was 1992.
Yep.
It was the St. Paul Winter Carnival.
Yep.
Wendy was the breeze of the Lake Mist, and
She
you
was
were the captain of the Renegade Brigade.
she was the Westman Princess from the Royal House of 3M Club, and I was the Sergeant of the King's Royal Guard from the Royal House of Authentic Construction.
Can I say one comment about the whole Winter Carnival thing?
If you take Winter Carnival down, then you better take down Aquatennial.
No, I'm not. Okay, give me Wendy's title. What was she?
She was the Westman Princess,
And you were the.
Sergeant of the King's Royal Guard.
Tell me those don't sound like names from Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, because it's based on a mythological story.
I know. Well,
Well,
Game of Thrones is real. I saw it. I watched it. That was video. That was a documentary.
okay. Well, Winter Carnival is real too. We just act out the same play. It's been going on for 140 years, since like
All right.
1880.
All right. That's all I got for today. That was fast, right?
I don't think you were prepared for that answer. How did you meet your wife? That could be a TV show, like How I Met Your Mother.
I wasn't prepared. Well, I don't know how you and Wendy. I don't think I've ever met Wendy. No, I've met her.
Wendy's the best.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've never been asked for Mike's Sunday fun day dinner. Never.
I've been trying to get you out for a steak for at least 3 years, and you
I
have
don't like
never.
leaving the gates of my driveway.
Oh
I'm
gosh.
kidding.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.